أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وسنة صحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل إلا أن تكون تجارة عن تراض منكم ولا تقتلوا أنفسكم إن الله كان بكم رحيما. O you who have believed, do not consume one another's wealth unjustly, but only in lawful business by and do not to you merciful. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, I remind myself and everyone else that everything that we should do should be for the sake of Allah. Should be for Allah. We say that Islam is a way of life. It's not just to come to follow Islam in the Masjid or when we're praying. No, it includes every aspect of life. The moment that we wake up, the moment that we sleep, how we walk, how we interact with one another, how we relate to each other, but it's also how we work and how we do business. Today, I'd like to discuss what are some of these work and business ethics that we Muslims should have, what Allah expects of us. Having a business, making that money, because when it comes to matters of business, there are certain ways to behave. There are certain business ethics that you should have, and sometimes we Okay, whoever's playing with the mic, stop doing that. You just downstairs. Okay. Okay, Bismillah. So sometimes we forget that Allah has expectations for us, even in our jobs, in our career, in our work as well. Not only has Allah required Muslim men, it just says that you have some, how we earn, how we work. There are ethics, there are rules that we must follow. For example, we're supposed to have the right and proper intentions. There are three things that we're talking. The first is, what should our intentions be when we are at work? And that is, even when we are at work, when we are at our jobs and our careers, our intentions should still be for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even in our careers and our businesses. Why? Because getting our job, getting money, these are all means and not a goal. Your job, your career is a mean and not a goal. As the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and this is he said, earning an honest living is a duty next to the principles of Iman. So working, going to work, earning this religious obligation is a commandment by Allah. So you will be rewarded by Allah every time that you go to work as a man. Now just think about that for a second. Every time you work, you're at your job, you're working, you're actually obeying Allah because Allah has commanded the man to provide. You're obeying Him. It's not just to get money or position or status. That's all fine. That's all secondary. Your first intention every single day when you go to work, Ya Allah, I'm obeying Your command. Watch the barakah that comes into your life and into your work now because you put Allah in the equation. You're not only working as men to gain a salary or a buck or to support your family, but also because it's a commandment of Allah. So whenever you go into work, before you log in, take out a moment and clear your intentions. Ya Allah, I'm obeying You, right? Because He is the one who gave the hands that we work with, the eyes that we see with, the heart that we go to work with. So everything that we do, it becomes an act of worship at our job. And subhanAllah. And that sounds rather simple, but what happens is we forget. Because what happens is sometimes people mix the means and the goals. What is the goal of your life? You get that degree, you get the wealth, you get the highest level on the face of the earth, and then what? Grave. You're not taking any of that with you. Does that mean we leave No, we do these things, but we use these things to get closer to Allah. We use the dunya to get closer to Allah, to Jannah. So your business, your position, your money is not your end goal. This is a means to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to correct this belief in us, he said, that wealth has been revealed to us so that we establish the salah. So this is the main goal of the day, the main job of the day. You go to work so that when the time of the Lord comes, you stop what you're doing and you pray salah. Right? So it helps you to come to the prayer because you need to come to the masjid. You need a way to eat and drink, and all of that is wealth, right? So the goal is the prayer. The goal is the worship of Allah, and everything else in our life is to help us establish that goal. And we forget this sometimes. I mean, we think like the goal is money. The goal is the highest paying job. And what happens is you see people who are super rich. They're millionaires, billionaires, celebrities, but they're depressed. They're not happy, right? Why? Because they're just chasing money, but they're not happy. Does money equal happiness? You know what they say, right? No money, no problems, right? So it's no, it's that's not our goal. Having peace in our heart, that is having peace in our heart, that equals happiness. That should be our goal of pleasing Allah. Allah bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub, as Allah says in the Quran. Verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. And when will we realize it? Who except Allah can give peace in our hearts, right? Nothing in the world is able to fully satisfy our hearts except the remembrance of Allah. And so when we go to work, when we do our business dealings, our goal is the worship of Allah. Our goal is to continue to follow the commandments of Allah. So that's the first thing. Having the right intention for where I work, and that is for the sake of Allah. So the second thing that I want to discuss when we come to business ethics, working ethics, is the importance of working and earning from halal means. Whatever we earn, my dear brothers and sisters, has to be. We must earn. It must be from halal, honest, and permissible means only. When it comes to businesses and our jobs, it is so vital that everything that we're working in was permissible and was halal. Therefore, our money is halal. Because wallahi, this is so important. Because this affects everything. The first thing people don't realize when it comes to businesses and work ethic is how deep, how far-reaching the results can be when you don't work in a halal in a halal place. When your job isn't halal, your risk isn't halal, your money then therefore isn't halal. So then what you buy therefore isn't from halal. What you put in your body isn't from halal means. And so when you the energy that the haram food produces, is it going to have it's from haram means? Is it going to have a positive or negative influence on your health? Eventually, even the red blood cells that your body forms, this is going to be based off of something that is from an evil root. It is not pure. But now you have this impure and evil blood running through and affecting your entire system. To give you an example, people who take drugs, something impure and evil. Does it have a positive or a negative effect? Their thoughts that they get, are they from pure or impure thoughts? Roots. Their actions are affected by the drugs. Their thoughts, their words, their relationship. Everything gets taken over. It affects everything. It affects their whole system. So when your money is haram, everything you do with that money will be from a root from something that is not accepted by Allah. It will have an evil effect on your thoughts, on your words, on your actions, on your salah, on your relationship with Allah. So we see people who have, mashallah, a lot of money. They have a lot of money, but they don't find happiness in their marriage. They don't find happiness in their children, in their family, in their life. Why? Because it's all been contaminated by the wrong income. It's contaminated by something that is not accepted by Allah. And if that is you, maybe you need to look at your income. Is it a halal business? Do you deal with riba? Right? So, my dear brothers and sisters, make sure that the businesses that you are working, the place where you're working, your income is from halal means, and that you are. And if you're having problems in your life, see the direction where you're getting that money, right? And the sustenance that we are putting in our body and where we are using it. Because at the end of the day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the controller of our happiness and our contentment. And so one of the best ways to ensure spirituality and a connection with Allah is to make sure that whatever we put in our body is from halal and free from all forms of impurity. Where you are working, the company that you're working for, the work that you're doing, even if it is permissible and halal, even if your salary happens to be less, don't worry about it. You're not chasing money. You're not chasing money. We're chasing barakah. We're chasing the pleasure of Allah, which is where that money comes from anyway. Don't think for a second that your salary or your money comes from your boss. It comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is our Razak, who is the one who provides us. And so the broader contentment that you will have, the broader purity and goodness that you will have is worth more than just chasing a few more dollars, working in that which is prohibited. And by the way, just so no one misunderstands me, I'm not saying that we shouldn't want money or want a risk or should be chasing. We should ask Allah for risk. We should ask Allah for a lot of risk. Allah grant me righteous risk. That is pure. Allahumma inni as'aluka rizqan wasi'an. Halalan tayyiban. Oh Allah, grant me risk wasi'an, a lot of risk that is halal and pure, and that I use it for your sake. And so with that in mind, the final thing that I'd like to discuss is what guidance does Allah give? As a Muslim, what are our responsibilities? What are our work and business ethics? And that we must follow Allah tells us. And I picked this ayah today from Surah An-Nisa, and this is ayah number 25, and subhanAllah, it's so relevant. It is so relevant, and the phrasing is so powerful, and it really captures one of the main ethical principles of Islam. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, those of you who claim to believe, الذين آمنوا لا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل. Don't consume each other's money in falsehood. Don't lie about your hours at your job. When you have to punch in or sign in, don't lie about it. If you're a consultant and you get paid by the hour, or you get paid by the hour and you're just kind of sitting and just chilling and having coffee or whatever, and you're getting paid for that, unless don't manipulate your people like that. Unless your employer knows that that's what you are doing, إلا أن تكون تجارة عن تراض منكم. Unless it's a trade that's happening, a business that's happening with mutual agreement amongst you. So in other words, look, nobody can be 100% productive all the time. It's not humanly possible. So you might feel like, look, I go to work 9 to 5, but sometimes I'll take a 40-minute lunch break. Sometimes I'll take an hour lunch break. Sometimes I'll just sit there and I talk. Is that okay? Well, if your employer knows it's okay and that's what you do, then it's okay because it's mutually agreed upon. إلا أن تكون تجارة عن تراض منكم. Unless it's a trade, is a business, that is mutually agreed upon. Other than that, don't scam people out of money. Don't overcharge things. Don't overcharge for your services or your product. If you're a mechanic, for example, don't inflate your prices because you're the only mechanic nearby and you know this guy has got a transmission problem. Might as well tell him his timing well if anything's fluid. And all this other stuff is messed up. What's he gonna do? All he can do is use you, right? Don't overbill people, overcharge people if you're a vendor or an accountant or a physician or whatever, and just charge people more and more and more because they are desperate. They're coming to you for help. Don't manipulate people like that. Don't overbill people like that. That's what Allah is saying. There's an interesting incident in the seerah where one time Rasulullah, he was walking through the marketplace. And he stopped by a vendor and with a heap of food, like a container of food. And when he put his hand inside the container, his fingers got wet. And so he asked the vendor, what is this? And he said it was dampened by the rain, the message of Allah. And he said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, why don't you put this on top? People can see it. He who cheats is not one of us. He who cheats is not one of us. So taradin in this ayah means that both parties are agreeing to the service or the product that is being exchanged. So if you know something about the service or the product that you're selling and you're providing that the consumer doesn't, the fine print, if you will, that that your consumer or your employer is not aware of it, they need to be aware. They need to know. Because if you're just kind of scamming money out of them, then this is unacceptable to Allah. Most of them our cell phone contracts. You ever get to a cell phone contract? This is that fine print, they're like a 40-page fine print. This is like the Tijarat bin Batin because they have all these these fees that they tack on, like an upgrade fee and activation fee and like an inconvenience fee or whatever. There are all these fees and you don't know what they're for. You never agree to them, but they're all kind of just tacked on there, and they know that you're not going to read that whole big fine print if you're a normal human being. So this is how they get away with these kinds of false agreements. And this also includes don't advertise falsehoods. Listen to this. The Prophet ﷺ said, Sahih Muslim, avoid swearing falsely in order to sell your goods. Apparently, it appears to be promoting your business, but in fact, it lets your business down and it's damaging in the long run. And it damages the goodwill of your business. SubhanAllah, the Prophet ﷺ, man, like, he taught us everything used to us, including business ethics. He told us that false advertising, making incorrect statements about the product that you want to sell, this is actually this hurts our business. Even if it appears to be increasing sales, it is damaging in the long run. Why? Because false advertising is still lying, and lying still leads to the fire of Jahannam. So Allah is telling us, don't advertise falsely, don't hide things from your consumer, because this is falsehood and this is not acceptable. We Muslims, we go into businesses or professional agreements or employments, we cannot consume money based on falsehood. Don't say, hey, I worked my 8 hours today. When you came in 10 minutes late and you sneak out 15 minutes early, like what is that? That's not honesty. We are Muslims. We have a standard that we have to follow, right? We can't eat people's money. And it's not just about employees with employers, it's also employers with employees too. Employers, they decide to pay a certain amount. But when you know that your employees are working harder and they're doing more and you're not paying more as a result, or you're paying some employees the same as someone else, even though one is more qualified, or you're getting preferential treatment, that's my cousin. Oh, that's my nephew. I can get more. No, this is also false. You can't do that. These are unethical standards that you're paying someone more than you're paying someone else, even though they're doing the same work, they're doing qualified, right? These are unethical standards. You're eating that person's money because it's no longer your money. That person you underpaid, you just ate their money. And subhanAllah, you hear about these like work right laws today, like workers' rights, work equality laws. SubhanAllah, like Allah already highlighted these issues for us. This is already built into our deen. We have to be fair. We have to be just. And the only way that you can get away with that is if they both if they both agree to it mutually, if they both agree to it, and they're both happy with it. That's the amazing part of this ayah. Because you don't just get to agree with your consumer, because you can like have your consumer agree and sign the thing, and they're not happy. Like a car salesman, they'll get you to sign the thing, and you regret it later. Almost happened to me a few months ago. The guy was pushing hard. He wanted me to sign, but I knew if I signed, I would have regretted it because I didn't want the car. Both sides have to be happy. Both sides. You have to be happy, and completely content with the agreement on Turadin minhum. And that's the beauty of this ayah. If both parties are not content and happy, then this is not a fair agreement. And once the fair agreement is signed, then you have no right to complain because you're the only one who clearly and consciously signed this sort of thing. If we abide by this principle, wallahi, by Allah, our business practices and our organizations and our companies that we run, we're going to have much better lives. And so if someone owes you money, be lenient in collecting, in dealing with your employers, your coworkers. And don't just think of money as the bottom line. Remember you're hereafter. Remember you're hereafter. If you go to like a business school here, like I went to business school here, I can tell you, or if you work for any like major corporation, they'll tell you that the dollar is king. That's the bottom line. But that's not the case for us. We don't just do anything and everything for a dollar. We'll always have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a guide, and we'll always remember that our hereafter. And Allah is the one we want to please first and foremost. And so, if you are an employer, or you're a head of a department, or you have any person working under you or for you, then you have a huge responsibility to be fair, to be kind, and to treat those people below you in the fair and kind way. And one of the best advices that I've ever gotten is that if you're a leader of a people, in reality you are their servant. If you're the boss, then the people working under you, you are their servants, because you have to fulfill their rights. They have so many rights upon you, and if you don't fulfill them and you're unjust, then they can come on the day of judgment and they can come to Allah, he didn't treat me fairly. And they can point to this ayah. So next time you deal with the inferior, especially, remember you have an obligation by Allah to be fair, to be kind to them. I mean, over and over again, Allah, he reminds us and he teaches us to forgive, to show favor, especially to those who are below us. These are the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if a person adopts these characteristics in this life, then Allah will treat you with the same characteristics in the next life. If you are fair and kind, Allah will be the same to you. So fulfill their rights as an employer, as an employee, as someone who runs or manages a business. You have a responsibility to be just. And that's the word I want to focus on. We have to change our mindset a little bit. We have to think about what is right and what is wrong. That's the first criteria of justice. If we are worried about what we're supposed to give to others rather than what we're always supposed to get, we will see the changes. And we'll see changes and we'll get the rewards in this life and in the next life. And that's the thing. Like generally, business people, they're not worried about like making a profit in the hereafter. Right? They're just focused on maximizing the results in this life. But as a Muslim, we should never neglect our affairs of the hereafter. If you are merciful towards others, Allah will be more merciful. Allah will has a greater right to be merciful towards you. And the final thing, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, listen to this. Listen to this. He said, and this is in At-Tirmidhi, a truthful and honest trader will be the companions of the prophets, the righteous, and the martyrs. Subhanallah, the reward for being honest in your business. In this life, people will like do anything just to hang out with the influential or the celebrities. Honesty in business dealings is such a small price to pay, and for which you will have the companionship that all of mankind will be dying to have on the day of judgment. And Allah ends this ayah, and we end here today by saying, if you don't do these things, if you're honest and you're careful, and you're conscious and you're honest, that inna Allah kana bikum rahima. Indeed, Allah is to you ever merciful. And the next ayah, he says, if you are unjust and you do an act of aggression, then Allah will drive you into hellfire as easy. So the choice is ours. So remember, not only has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala required Muslim men to work, but it must be honest and means only. And remember that working is a religious obligation. You will be rewarded by Allah if you have the proper intentions. You'll be following His commandment. And He is the one, He is the Razak. Your risk comes from Allah. And so for your income, it's already written. Your risk is already written. It's already determined. So all the more reasons why you should stick to honesty. So don't let the day of judgment turn into Yom HaShasar, the day of regret, hoping that wishing on that day that you have done more. We need to control ourselves now so that we don't end up wishing on the greatest of days that we had done better. So be honest in your business dealings, honest and trustworthy in your business dealings. Don't turn your lawful earnings into unlawful earnings by doing some of the things we talked about, supplying defective goods, indulging in profiteering, lying, false advertising, because the bottom line is this, my dear brothers and sisters. We need to become the fabric of the society. And one of the ways to be socially relevant, right, is to enter the private sector, business. A lot of Muslims have businesses. Right? That's what makes the economy go after all. Now imagine being Muslims. We practice everything we talked about today and what this ayah teaches in all of our businesses every single day. People will be running to work for Muslim business. They will be running to work for Muslim businesses. We are supposed to be the most upright. We are supposed to be the standard of what is righteousness and is good. Allah will give us, if you look at what's happening in the Muslim world, Allah will give us izzah when we are worthy of izzah. He will give us His help when we are worthy of His help. So we're supposed to be the most upright. And so Allah will put so much barakah in your work and in your life, and He will reward you in this life and in the hereafter if you follow these commandments and we're fair and honest and we're in our work. So to wrap it up, 3 things we talked about. Number 1 is we need to have the proper when we go to work, and that's for the sake of Allah. Number 2, make sure that where you are working is halal. Number 3, follow the principles in this ayat, and if you abide by these principles, wallahi, by Allah, our business practices and our companies and our organizations and us as employers and employees, we're going to have much better lives. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to be fair in our business dealings and implement the wonderful ethics that are in this surah. Once again, this is Surah An-Nisa, verse number 29. May Allah bless all of you, your families, your businesses, and our community. Please keep me, my family, and my parents in your dua. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Go right into the announcements, inshallah. So tonight, inshallah, here at Dar-ul-Islah, we have really amazing events. We're working with a prophetic living. on the topic of the Ottoman Empire, the rise and fall of the empire, getting insight and inspiration from Islamic history. The speaker is Dr. Yaqub Ahmed and Sheikh Yasser Kennedy. As tonight here at Dar-ul-Islah, dinner will be first at 6:30, followed by Isha at 7:30 today. Isha normally is at 8 o'clock. Tonight it will be at 7:30 today, and the program will start after 7:30 after Isha, inshallah. So please bring your families, your friends, and join us for this really nice event on the Ottoman Empire again tonight, starting at 6:30 dinner. And again, please remember Darussalam in your du'as, but also in your donations as well. Assalamu alaikum.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله أشهد أن رسول الله حي على السلام حي على السلام حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الحمد لله الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهداية الإسلام وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. الحمد لله الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير. الحمد لله الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور. الحمد لله الذي خلق سبع سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور. الحمد لله الذي نزل الفرقان على عبده ليكون للعالمين نذيرا. الحمد لله الذي من الله على المؤمنين إذ بعث فيهم رسولا من أنفسهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل إلا أن تكون تجارة عن تراض ولا تقتلوا أنفسكم إن الله كان بكم رحيما. وقال الله تعالى بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وقال ربكم ادعوني يستجب لكم إن الذين يستكبرون عن عبادتي سيدخلون جهنم داخلين. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا وآتنا ما وعدتنا على رسلك ولا تخزنا يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد. ربنا إننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا. ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم ألف بين قلوبنا وأصلح ذات بيننا. اللهم اهدنا سبل السلام ونجنا من الظلمات إلى النور. اللهم جنبنا الفواحش ما ظهر منها وما بطن. اللهم اجعلنا من الراشدين. اللهم ارحمنا وأنت خير الراحمين. اللهم اغفر لنا وأنت خير الغافرين. اللهم تب علينا وأنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم انفعنا بالقرآن العظيم. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. عباد الله رحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. عباد الله رحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. وعز وأجل وأتم وأهم وأكبر، الله يعلم ما تصنعون. وأقم الصلاة. Please, as the brothers are coming in, please make sure you fill up the gaps in front of you as you're standing, especially the modules to your right and left. You make sure you check consistently the modules, and until it's filled, then you can start filling up the back. All the brothers that are in the expansion, please move forward. I see there's still space on both modules, so please, brothers, come up forward, fill up all the gaps, and then inshallah we can begin. There are brothers waving their hands, please follow and fill up the modules on your right and left.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. يا للسلام يا للفلاح يا للفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Those who Allah, please strain your minds, close the gaps. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. ما قلت لهم إلا ما أمرتني به أن اعبدوا الله ربي وربكم عليهم شهيدا ما كنت فيهم فلما توفيتني كنت أنت الرقيب عليهم وأنت على كل شيء شهيد. إن تعذبهم فإنهم عبادك وإن تغفر لهم فإنك أنت العزيز الحكيم. قال الله هذا يوم ينفع الصادقين صدقهم لهم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه ذلك الفوز العظيم. لله ملك السماوات والأرض وما فيهن وهو على كل شيء قدير. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. ذلك من أنباء الغيب نوحيه إليك وما كنت لديهم إذ أجمعوا أمرهم يقول وما أكثر الناس ولو حرصت بمؤمنين وما تسألهم عليه من أجر إن هو إلا ذكر للعالمين. وكأي من آية في السماوات والأرض يمرون عليها وهم عنها معرضون وما يؤمن أكثرهم بالله إلا وهم مشركون. أفأمنوا أن تأتيهم غاشية من عذاب الله أو تأتيهم الساعة بغتة وهم لا يشعرون. قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. آمين. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام، تبارك ربنا وتعاليت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant shifa for all those who are sick and forgive those who have passed away, especially any of our friends, families, parents, teachers. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for those all around the world and going through hardships, especially our brothers and sisters in Gaza, Palestine. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them justice, inshallah, and especially let's make dua for Layla Mian across Yemen to make, may Allah make it easy for her. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم اقض حاجاتنا وحاجات المسلمين. اللهم انصر المسلمين في كل مكان. اللهم انصر المسلمين في غزة. اللهم انصر المسلمين في فلسطين. اللهم انصر المسلمين في كل مكان. اللهم اغفر لحينا وميتنا وشاهدنا وغائبنا وصغيرنا وكبيرنا وذكرنا وانثانا. اللهم من احييته منا فاحيه على الاسلام، ومن توفيته منا فتوفه على الايمان. اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وعافهم واعف عنهم. اللهم اكرم مثلهم واحسن مثلهم. اللهم اجعل قبورهم روضة من رياض الجنة. ربنا تقبل منا انك انت السميع العليم، وتب علينا انك انت التواب الرحيم. صلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد واله وصحبه اجمعين برحمتك يا ارحم الراحمين.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today, you heard two young brothers speak. He both belong to the executive committee of Dar-ul-Islah. They grew from childhood in the Dar-ul-Islah environment.